Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Alexis Loren. If you're new here, I make productivity and lifestyle related videos centered around how you can live pretty and productive both in school and in life. So today I just thought it would be fun to do a what's on my iPad, how I take notes type of video, and I love watching these and binging these on YouTube, so I thought I would do my own version. So yeah, just getting into logistics, this is a 2017 iPad Pro in the 10.5 screen size with 64 gigabytes of storage, and I just have it in this marble case. That I got from Amazon, and I love it because you can stand it up and do all sorts of things. I also have a black Apple Pencil grip on my Apple Pencil. That is the first generation one that came with this little nib at the top, so that you can charge it, and it's not attachable, which I'm hoping to upgrade to the newer iPad Pro soon. But yeah, this is just my Apple Pencil grip and pen. I will leave links to everything that I'm mentioning in terms of logistics in my description box if you're interested. And then to the side, I just have this little key card that just outlines sort of what I like to do before class and in class in terms of like my color coding system and schedule, etc. In class, I mainly tend to stick with blue in my notes, but I do like to outline my textbooks with all of these different colors. So I like to read the textbook, go to lecture, review my lecture notes, and then study again by making like a cram sheet or a content sheet, but I'll get further into that once I show you inside my iPad. I do have productivity and lifestyle tips also on my Instagram, so feel free to follow me there if you'd like to hear and see more content from me. So getting into my iPad, I just have basically this photo that's also from my planner of me and my friends at a conference for women in business at our university, and it was just a great day, so I love to have that. And then I just have, your basic apps from Apple, and then Amazon, YouTube, Xfinity, and Netflix for streaming. And then I also have Canvas because all of my classes are on there, and I do have an education folder where I have Full Everywhere, Top Hat, an ebook app because some of my textbooks are from Macmillan, and then I have Word, Documents, Google Drive, Google Slides. And yeah, let's take you to GoodNotes. So GoodNotes is my preferred app just for everything. Like, I just love it. I've been using it since 2018, so I know how it works. When I was researching different apps, a lot of people like Notability because I think there's like a record feature, but GoodNotes is very much my speed, just because of all the customizability that you have in it, and it's just easy to use. And I like the aesthetic a little bit more than I do Notability. And that matters because, this is something that I open every day and I want it to look nice. In addition, this also syncs if you have an Apple device. I'm not sure about Android. This, your files on your iMac or on your iPad can sync to your iMac, so that is great. But getting into it, I always like to have a folder for each class. So you can see here I have a folder for college documents. So that's, when I was in the process of like applying to college, a lot of colleges wanted financial aid information and stuff like that. So that's all in that folder. And then I have a folder for every semester. And then I have a notebook for every class where I put all of the downloads in. And then I just have an ebook that I was reading and wanted to annotate, and some odd, out of place items. But getting into just fall of 2020, these are the classes that I'm taking. I'm also taking labs, but I will show you in my notebook, I have a section just dedicated to lab. So if we go into any one of my notebooks, I'm just going to pull this one. I like to organize my notebooks in the following manner. I like to have a cover page, which is normally just like a wallpaper from Pinterest that I will save as an image, blow it up to letter size, and then save it as an image to my camera roll, and then upload it into GoodNotes as a cover. If you'd be interested in seeing a separate video on that, you can like this video or leave me a comment down below. But I also do dividers for each of my classes. So this one says readings, there's ones for lectures, And then I have one for lecture slides, one for concepts, and one for notes. And so in the ratings tab, if we're reading a specifically hard chapter or we get scientific articles, I'm a neuroscience major, so sometimes we're reading like PubMed articles and the latest scientific journals. I'll put those all in readings and annotate them with this color key. And that also corresponds to what I have on GoodNotes, which I'll get into a little bit later. And then, so in lectures, I put mainly my lecture notes, and then in lecture slides, if I want to reference the slides, I put them in a separate place. And then concepts is normally like my cram sheets of like before the exam, I will take, a section of notes, a chapter of notes, a concept, and break it down even further. And I'll show you an example of that. And then in notes, these are just like general notes I want to have, or like homework, or notes from the textbook, or just notes on projects. That's why this class is very discussion based, so that's why I have the notes in this one. But if I take you to my physics notebook, we've already gotten a little bit of a head start on this one in this semester, but there's a homework tab that I have and a lab tab. So in my lab section, I normally put like my data for my classes, the lab partner emails and addresses, things that we're supposed to do in the lab report, what I got on the pre-lab quiz, or any pre-lab work, I will put it in this section just so that it's organized. And then in the homework section, this is where I take assigned homework problems or papers or whatever, and I will add them to here. Normally it's just by adding, like going here and adding I have Emma Studies templates that I've added as a template to my document. I'll leave a link to her Etsy shop as well as her Tumblr. These all came from her Tumblr. She has an organic chemistry paper that's been great when I'm taking orgo. And you can just go, and normally I add just like a dot grid paper, and I will do my homework here. And I love the flexibility of dot grid, but also like the rigidity of it, and just knowing that I can draw lines and shapes and whatnot. And then I normally just will import my lecture slides as a PDF so that it's not distorted in GoodNotes, and then I will write on top of them, and you can see that we're doing simple harmonic motion this week in lecture. Getting into my actual lecture slides, if I didn't talk about that, but before we do that, I also love to put my syllabus as the first thing, and I have it outlined here, as you can see, and you can go in these three dots and add page to outline, but I like to do that before the semester gets started, just so that it's easy to reference. So for lectures, I tend to use Cornell Notes. It's my favorite preferred paper, second to dot grid, but I do just sort of this general idea of putting the date for the lecture on the right hand corner, the title for the lecture on the left, and then any sort of headers or sections on the left hand corner. And then on the right hand corner, I take my notes and I will highlight definitions. A tip for taking notes on an iPad or taking note in generals is just using a standard accent color. So what I like to do is just use blue primarily, just because it makes your notes look cleaner and appear a little bit more chic and aesthetic when you do that. So that is my tip. I do have more on my latest Instagram post if you're interested in heading over there. But yeah, I will just highlight sometimes, like this was an example problem that we were doing, and I just highlighted key information for the example. And then in this bottom section, I like to normally, on the weekend when classes are, complete and I have a little bit of extra time, or even right after lecture, I like to go in and summarize what we did or the key information from this section. So if it was this section, it would be that, the simplest real world example for simple harmonic motion would be to put a box on or a mass on a spring. And these are all of the equations we can derive for said example, and I would just put that at the bottom. which I will probably be doing this weekend. But that is what I like to do for my notes, and just make them look clean and aesthetic. I will open up another notebook and show you what I do for another style of note taking. So if there are PowerPoint slides and they're not given to us as a PDF, what I will do is sort of download them myself, save them to my iCloud, and then send them to my iPad as a 3 slides to a page with lines. And so you can see I did that for today's class. And I went ahead and I put details on the side, and then I just highlighted them. So this was all the emotion theories, that was our lecture notes, and sometimes if I run out of space on the side, I will write on top of them, and that tends to work just as well, just for that extra additional practice, just going to your notes and figuring it out, and just, I can have what the teacher says and also add what I need to reference on the side for my own understanding, which has been good. And like I said, I normally just have my one accent color of blue, light blue and dark blue, and maybe like a gray sometimes to add distinction between like arrows or boxes, for aesthetics. But yeah, that is primarily it. I'll show you one more technical based class, so I can go into spring, or rather fall of 2019, and I can open organic chemistry. So here's an example of me writing on the physical PowerPoint, and I would just, anything the teacher is saying, I would just go back and normally write on top of it in black pen, and then I'll highlight anything that I need in my corresponding colors. So yeah, that is primarily what happens, and then I can show you what I do for my homework. Normally I just take the standard ballpoint pen, and I put I letter the class name at the top, and then I write in my regular handwriting, the practice problems, and then I will write them by hand, which ones I'm doing, and then do my work underneath it. So pretty standard. And then for this concept section, which I don't see a lot of people really utilize, here is also my lecture notes. Yeah, just some more of that standard information. But if we were to go to the concepts, this is normally what I do, is I condense one whole PowerPoint of notes into a basic sheet that I can just reference at any time before the exam. So I can tell you for sure this was like 8 slides, and I've put it into one little section. And then I've written more to the left, and these are great to have. I have like all the reactions. I love to make like little pros and cons, or like split screen type views, and then I've just written some more practice problems and things down at the bottom. I will sometimes take graphs from the actual textbook. That's what I love about taking notes digitally, and I save my notebooks to GoodNotes as well, or my textbooks rather, which I will show you, and then I will just copy it and take a screenshot of it and drag it in here, and sometimes write on top of them if they have good information. Like this was just a comparison of nucleophilic substitutions, and I went through and said things that work, things that don't work, blah blah blah. So yeah, that is pretty much what I do, but I did want to show you my textbooks. So typically I'm able to find my textbooks online if I don't want to purchase them. Yeah, or I will purchase them and then download them, or sometimes teachers are kind enough to give you the access to the PDF version that they have download and put it on Canvas, which my physics professor did, so I really appreciated that. But typically I go in and I will use the same color code, and I have this set out right here. So blue is a main idea, this purple is a sub detail, and these are all from the second row in GoodNotes if you want to use the same colors, and I'm using these 5 on the right if you're interested. I can also leave the hex codes in my description box. but blue is a main idea. Purple is a sub-detail. This like mauvey, almost like between violet and pink color is definitions, and then pink is a conclusion. And I also read scientific articles like I mentioned, so mainly I keep the same ones, but blue instead, or this purple, instead of being a sub-detail, is normally like methods or how they went about doing their experiment, anything conceptually. Pink is like the results, or it's the small color is normally the results, and then this pink section or color I normally use in the discussion section of the said article. Yeah, and then if you're interested, I have my highlighter settings on the medium nib at 3.05 millimeters, and then I have the ballpoint pen set at the finest tip at 0.25 millimeters, and it works for me in my handwriting, but you might just have to play around with it and see what works. I like really thin lines because sometimes I like to zoom in and I just don't want it to be kind of distorted, and if I used a bigger nib it would get distorted. So this is normally what I do is I'll just go in. Here's a use of different colors, and you can just go in, and sometimes I write arrows. Definitely I will take the mechanisms, and in GoodNotes you can just kind of do this and say take a screenshot, and then you can copy the screenshot and put it, inside your notebook. So you can do this, and that's just how I would normally like write on top of it, like this. You just have to, allow your pen to sort of be able to write on it, and also have your settings on images for the lasso tool. But that's what I'm using. What I also love about GoodNotes is you can take your textbook. So let's say I'm taking notes, I can put them side by side and continue to write and read at the same time, which is nice. So yeah. So that is primarily how I take my notes. Yeah, if you're interested in anything else or learning anything else, please do let me know. I'm trying to think of if there's anything else I really, really want to mention. But that's primarily like it and all I have. Yeah, so that is how I take my notes on GoodNotes. I will leave you with a little bit of a montage of me actually taking the notes. And yeah, I hope this was helpful. Bye, guys.